Hey everybody, it's Charles from HumbleMechanic.com. Today, we're going to be installing the turn signal relay kit on my R32. This is a pretty cool add-on kit directly from VW, and what it allows you to do is turn your turn signals on, and it provides a convenience flash for changing lanes. All you have to do is tap the stalk and it'll flash 3 times. Now let's face it, this is not a super important modification. In fact, some may say this is kind of a dumb thing to spend money to have your car to do. But I like this feature. I have it on my B5.5 Passat. Of course, it's on the Tiguan and most modern Volkswagen Audi cars and other vehicles as well. So it's a cool way to bring your car a little bit more forward in time. The tools you're going to need for this job may depend on how your vehicle's equipped. If your car still has the factory radio, you will need some radio removal keys. A trim removal tool, like every job, a pocket screwdriver, a wire de-pinning tool. This is the factory one, or you can make your own. A seam ripper, perhaps a T20 Torx bit, some tape, and a zip tie to secure our relay. If you have an aftermarket radio setup or something like that, you may actually require a couple more tools than just what I have shown here. In the kit, you will get some instructions, a pigtail harness with some wire terminals and a connector we have to pin, and a 3-flash relay. My R32 has an aftermarket radio. We're gonna wanna remove this in order to get a little bit easier access to the wiring. If your car still has the factory radio in it, you'll need a set of radio removal tools. These are my favorite. They work the best out of all of them that I've tried. Simply slide them apart, open up the proper keys. You'll notice there's 4 slots in the corners of the radio. Do the same thing on the other side. And then just pull the radio out and disconnect it. The way this radio was installed, I'm going to actually need to remove more of the lower dash in order to get it out. All right, because of the interesting installation of this aftermarket radio, I had to pull the whole lower dash, including glove box, out. That'll allow us to reach behind the dash, push the hazard relay out. Now what we want to do is we want to push the wire harness back into the hole and pull it out the bottom. This will give us more room to work. Once you got whatever level of nonsense out of the way, we are going to work with our connector. We are going to need to de-pin a couple of wires out of the factory connector. I'm going to go over the instructions for the Golf. The Golf and the Passat are a little bit different, so make sure if you get this kit, you follow the instructions in the manual to make sure you remove the right pins. Before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and strip a little bit of tape off just to give us a little bit more room. That'll make it a little bit easier to remove these pins and install them in our jumper harness. Next, we're going to need to remove this purple section of the connector. This is called the secondary lock for the pins in each connector. The primary lock is released through the top side with a wire pin tool. To remove that, you can use a pocket screwdriver, or sometimes your fingernail works really, really well. Pick up on it a little bit. There's a little groove right above it. You only need to pop this up a couple of millimeters. You can do that with your fingernail or using a pocket screwdriver. Just be careful and don't break it. Now we can take our wire pin tool and remove whatever pins we need to. In total, we're going to be removing 5 wires out of this connector and putting them into our jumper connector. We're going to start with removing the wire in pin 1. It is a black wire with a white tracer and green dots on it. So we'll simply put our wire pin tool in, give it a gentle push. I like to kind of hold it and apply pressure towards the connector. Next, we're going to remove the black and green wire out of pin 2. And these are all labeled, so you can just look at the label on the purple lock and you'll see the number. Same thing. Next, we're going to remove the black and white wire from location 3 and the brown wire from location 6. Remember, brown is almost always a ground wire on a Volkswagen or Audi. And the black and white wire from pin 7. Now you'll notice that we're going to have 2 black and white wires. It's actually not a bad idea to make sure you get them in the right location to put a little mark on one of them, make sure they go in the right spot. It may not matter which one goes where, but I like to mark it just to be on the safe side. We can even put a little piece of tape so we know which is the last one that we removed. So we'll go ahead and remove from location 7, the black and white wire. I'm also going to take that one I pulled out of 7, kind of tuck it back the other way so that we don't get them confused. Before we can put our wires into our new connector, we need to open this connector up. You can see there's tiny little lock tabs right there. This is pretty simple. I like to grab it from the middle with my fingernail, pull it open like that, flip it around, and do the same thing on the other side. That's what you want it to look like before you put your wires in. Then after you get them locked in, we can go ahead and snap it shut. All right, let's pin up this connector, and the wire locations are gonna go as follows. The black and white wire with the green lines is gonna go in location 1. The black wire with the green tracer is gonna go in pin 2. The first black and white wire that we pulled is gonna go in pin 3. The brown wire is going to go into pin 6. And the last one, the one that we marked with our tape, is going to go into pin 7. Now, that may sound really familiar. That's because that's exactly the same pin locations that we pulled the wires out of on our factory connector. Now that we have all our pins in, just go through and push them in and make sure that they're fully secured. You can give them a little tug if you want to make sure they don't pop out. And we'll go ahead and I'll lock our connector. And now we're done with this portion here. Now that we have this done, we need to put our pins into our OEM connector for our hazard relay. And these are gonna go as follows. In terminal 1, we are going to install the white wire with the green tracer. Terminal 2 is going to be the green wire. Terminal 3 is going to be the white wire. Terminal 6, of course, is going to be the brown wire. And terminal 7 is going to be our last black and white wire. Once you have all those in their proper location, go ahead and lock your purple secondary connector in, and we're done. Now that we have all our pins in our add-on connector and back in our factory connector, it's time to plug it in. We already have our relay plugged in. We'll install our hazard switch. Hit our hazard switch, you can hear it clicking. I see both our left and right turn signals flashing in the dash. Let's turn the ignition on and see if the convenience function works. So now with a matter of just a tap of the stalk, we'll get 3 flashes each direction. Now we've tested it and made sure it works. Next we need to get all this stuff tucked back up in and secured so that it doesn't rattle. I always like to test this kind of stuff before I get it all put back together, just in case maybe the instructions were wrong or we need to move any wires around because we put them in the wrong location. Let's go ahead and unplug our hazard switch. We can tuck our wires back up through, plug it in, install it. The rest of this harness I like to take and we'll take it, we'll tape it, and then we'll tuck it and set it up on top of our radio bezel. If you want to wrap these pieces in foam so that they don't rattle, that's cool too. Or zip tie them down to the radio bezel and it'll be just fine. All right, guys, there we have it. We are all finished. Everything works just like we would expect it. We have the super new cool guy feature that, well, all cars today have, but 14 years ago plus did not have. If you have questions or comments, throw it down below. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up button. I will put links in the description to some of the tools that you'll need, as well as this kit. Remember, this is for a Mark IV Golf Jetta. If you have a Passat, the wiring is a little bit different, but not too much. Make sure that you follow the instructions for the wiring. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course on Snapchat. If you guys want discounts, places like Black Forest, Eastwood, MT Knives, Sonic Tools, and more, hit that link to the crew membership and learn more about it there. Guys, that's it. I'm done. I'm out. I'm gonna get the rest of this crap put back together and try and massage some of these dash pieces back on properly. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.